Okay, and so we come to the last faction, and that would be the Kingdom of ARNOR. So, for the last time, I'll set up the battle, and then we'll go through the unit composition of the Kingdom of Men. Okay, so, ARNOR, and this is actually good because we have kind of come full circle, because the faction that ARNOR bears most in common with is Gondor, of course. Well, they bear quite a lot in common with Dale as well. All three of these factions are based upon pretty much the same sort of template, in that, they each have a ranger unit, they each have a selection of heavy cav, they each have one particularly strong heavy infantry unit, they each have the same layout of archers, they have a heavy archer, militia, and etc. And I mentioned in the Gondor video that their focus was on polearms, and in Dale's video that their focus was on their archers and their skirmishers in general. And Arnor's focus, and the reason why Arnor are probably just the strongest of the three in terms of actual terms, is their focus is on heavy infantry and heavy cavalry, which of course in Third Age is, the top of the food chain, as it were. That's not to say there's much of a power difference between these three. Arguably Dale is slightly weaker, you could make the argument for that, but certainly Arnor and Gondor are pretty much equal in terms of their power, and certainly top tier. Only really the dwarves can boast being outright stronger than Arnor, in my opinion. So let's go through their units, shall we? And they do bear some units in common with Eriador, one of which is the Hobbit Tree and Arms. Now, this is a unit that as Arnor you're not likely to be using at all, because they're just not good enough in any sense of the word. Like, with Eriador you might want to use these guys instead of the militia, but the Arnor militia is actually the best militia unit in the game. And so moving on to the Arnor militia, this is a very, very cost-effective unit. Their stats are very, very good. For militia, that is, anyway, and they only cost 420 florins to deploy. What makes them so good, though, is that they have decent morale, and they can also form shield wall rather than skilltron, which is incredibly useful in a siege when you're going to have less money than the opponent, because you can use these guys to hold up the enemy for longer than you would be able to with a regular unit of militia. So certainly one selling point for Arnor is their low tier units are actually very good. They have the Arnor men-at-arms, which are a men-at-arms unit naturally, and they're essentially the same sort of thing as the Gondor infantry and several units of this ilk. They're basically your bread and butter infantry. You're going to be having these guys in pretty much any army composition to fill it out and to have a decent heavy infantry corps. They will get the job done, their stats are good, and they won't win out against very elite heavy infantry like, Dale's Earls would beat these guys in melee. But having these guys around gives you a more solid infantry corps than pretty much anyone but the dwarves, because of course the dwarves, all their infantry is basically elite heavy infantry. They don't have a men-at-arms unit as such. Moving on then, we have the battle-ready Dunedain. Of course, I've already spoken about these guys in the Eriador video. They are arguably the best shock infantry if you don't count berserkers. They are pretty expensive for shock infantry. You need to use them wisely if you're going to have them in your army, but nonetheless they'll do a heavy amount of damage to any units that are out of formation. If you can charge into the side or the back, you're going to do an incredible amount of damage with them. Pretty good line breakers as well. And then, of course, we have the Arnold Pikemen. Now, one of the main things that I've been talking about throughout these faction overviews is the importance of having pikes to hold the line, essentially. And the fact that Arnold have them is very good. They're also massable. One problem with Gondors is, while they are statistically the best, they're difficult to mass because of how expensive they are. Arnold Pikemen you can mass. They're not quite as good as something like Vault Wardens or the Uruk-hai Pikemen, in my opinion, but they're probably about equal with Dale's Barding Herd, I think. Maybe slightly worse, but either way, they will get the job done very, very nicely. And now we have probably the best human heavy infantry unit in the game. In fact, certainly the best heavy infantry unit from the human factions of the game, the dismounted Dunedain Knights. These guys are very, very strong. The only negative you could say is they don't have quite as many men in their unit, but these guys can go toe to toe with even the heaviest infantry of the high elves and the dwarves. The only problem is these guys are just as expensive as something like the smiths or the guards of Khazad-dûm. But you know, you get what you pay for, and these guys will go toe to toe with the very finest heavy infantry in the game. You're going to have a lot of trouble trying to kill these guys off if you're up against them. Generally speaking, you're going to need to surround them, outmaneuver them, beat them back with pikes maybe, but if you have these guys in your army, you're going to be able to force your way through a lot of situations through sheer brute force, in a way that really only you'd be used to doing as the dwarves normally. So what about their archer contingent? Well, first of all, they have Hobbit Archers and Banderbras Archers, and in fact Dunedain Rangers from the Eriador faction. Now the Hobbit Archers, of course, decent missile score, but worthless in melee. Banderbras Archers, slightly better all round, pretty affordable. The Ranger unit, again, you know, very good in melee, can deploy stakes, good at range, good all-purpose unit. Maybe, you know, not as many men in the unit as you would like, but they will get the job done very, very nicely. Similar to the Ithelian Rangers and the Athala Rangers, and the Helmingars to a lesser extent. This unit is that sort of thing, pretty much identical in function to them. The two archers that Arnor have all to themselves are the Arnorian Archers. These guys are actually pretty decent. You know, they're not the best low-tier archer. That title belongs to the Longbowmen of Dale. But nonetheless, these guys can still get the job done very, very well. Similar to the Arnor Militia, if you have to have a lot of low-tier units in your army, you're going to be doing okay as Arnor, because these guys will get the job done. And then you have the Arnorian Heavies. Now these guys, very good in melee, very good at range. Obviously, they've got nothing on the Elven Archers, nor will they win out against Bardian Marksmen. But nonetheless, these guys are pretty much equal to the Gondor Archers, maybe slightly better than the Gondor Archers even. They will fight very well in melee, they have good armor, they can... The one problem that I would say is these guys, 580 is kind of a lot. You know, the Rangers aren't too much less. You can have 3 of them before the price increases though, whereas you can only have 2 Rangers. A good archer unit. Generally speaking, Arnor's strength lies in their melee troops, but you're going to have a good skirmishing contingent. And also for the other strength that Arnor have, in addition to their very high-end infantry here, they have their cavalry. Now the Arnor Sergeants, 850 is a lot. Nonetheless, their charge, basically, this is like a better version of the Greenway Sentries of Eriador. They are just as expensive, well, they're more expensive actually, but they will get the job done on the charge very, very nicely. The Bodyguards, again, the problem is there's not enough men in the unit, so I would shy away from these. Arnor Knights, essentially one tier up from the Sergeants, and then we have the single best heavy cavalry unit in the game in the Knights of the Numerals. Now, a charge of 10, a defense of 22. These guys are incredibly strong. Can form wedge as well, which is kind of rare in 3rd Age, I've noticed. Only the Swan Knights, I remember, can do it. There are probably a couple of other cav units as well, but I can't list them off the top of my head. I know the Swan Knights can do it. These guys, very expensive. You can only have 1 before the price increases as well, but they will wreck infantry that is undefended, essentially. You can rip through archers. While these 2 units may be expensive and not easy to mass, as a single unit, the quality of them is easily the best of any human faction. It's just a shame you can't mass them up more easily, but if you back up a Knights of Numerals with, say, 2 Arnor Knights, this is a cav contingent which the likes of Rohan just can't field. Even though Rohan may have more cav than you, your quality is what's gonna take you over the top, really, and that's what Arnor are all about, fielding more quality. Even the low tier units are all about more quality than your opponent. Only really the elves have got a higher emphasis on having quality units on the field than Arnor. And it is worth saying they get a trebuchet as well. So just like Gondor, they get access to the very long range trebuchet. Useful in siege battles. I wouldn't use these in pitch battles, they're too easy to avoid the shots, but still a worthwhile option. So, I think it's about time we deployed. We'll of course have a selection of cav. We'll have across the board, you know, this is pretty much the best ARNOR Cav force you're likely to see in a high funds game, because of course, you know, the price increase after the Knights of Numerals, you won't be able to have 4 of these in pretty much any situation. It's far, far too expensive. As for the infantry, we'll have 3 Dunedain Knights, I think. We'll have a line of 5 archers, a line of 5 pikes, actually 6 pikes, I think, and 2 battle-ready Dunedain. Naturally, maximum armor is already achieved on the Knights of Numerals. But we will put some chevrons on these bad boys. Let's see, we'll have... And there we go. Okay, so for the final time, let us take to the field. At least the final time in this context. But from a practical standpoint, I think ARNOR are better than Gondor and Dale, simply because of Third Age's bias to the heavy infantry and heavy cav side of things. Nonetheless, you know, it's that sort of thing. If you like playing as Gondor or Dale, you're going to like playing as ARNOR, and vice versa. So let's see, where shall we deploy? I think in the middle here. It's probably a safe bet. Have our pikes at the front. In guard mode, of course. Oh, there's a rock there. Let's just let's deploy a little bit further back, actually. There we go. Right, well, for a start, we need to get the cav sort of back a little bit. Now, the Rangers can go at either side, actually. And then we'll have the Heavy Archers. Oh. Well, we'll just have them firing at will. Battle-ready Dunedain can be ready to charge in and support. Dunedain Knights can be at the back here, ready to go where needed, and that is the army, I believe, so let's get this started. Isengard are over there. You know what? We are going to break Isengard with the cav we have. Misty Mountains Orcs. I gave Mordor Nazgul again and some Uruks. Misty Mountains Orcs just a large contingent of their heavy goblin and regular goblin infantry. Isengard, Guards of Orthanc and all the Dunland units as the reinforcement column. Let's see. The goblin infantry. Okay. Just send our cav over there. Knights of Numerals do have slightly less in their unit, but that doesn't matter. Similar to the Dunedain Knights, their quality individually is just so high that that becomes a bit of a non-issue. So the Rangers are firing already. Okay, let's head over here. Isengard. Let's use our ARNOR sergeants on these guys first of all. They're still not advancing on my main army. Only one of my archers is currently firing. What do we have here? Veterans? Clansmen? Let's head into the veterans. See how much damage we can do in one fell swoop with my sergeants. Yep, they are turning around. Are they going to charge into me? That is a bold move. That is a nice charge. Okay, so let's head back over here to the main army for a moment. Lost a few ARNOR sergeants, it's a bit of a shame. I love the unit models for the Dunedain Knights as well. Okay, now the Misty Mountains Orcs are indeed going to make an attempt at closing the jaws. Let's see, my cav is stacked up over here. Let's get a closer look at the Knights of Numerals. They are looking very regal indeed. Get a nice screenshot of the Knights. Let's see. The archers are all engaging. Misty Mountains Orcs have still not attacked my pike line, which is fine by me. Right, this charge on the veterans may well be enough to break them if we play our cards right. Clansmen are spears, but they are lowest tier spears. They're not as bad as Orc Band, but they're pretty damn close. Oh, this is going to be a nasty charge as well. Oof. How many did we kill that time? Honestly, not too many. They're shaken. Okay, let's get out of melee again. Oh, looks like we're engaged on the pike line. Where are we? No, it looks like I'm just friendly firing against my own pikes. Ah, that's a bit of a shame. Well, that's fine. We'll just send over a couple of units of Dunedain Knights. I'm not going to stand for that either. Dunedain Knights can be deployed immediately. See if we can't wipe these veterans out. Yeah, the pikes are not going to lose this fight, I don't think. Okay, let's get you guys in there. Oh, you've got skirmish mode on. Bad. Very bad. Turn that shit off. Keep firing. Okay. Charge into them. Let's get a unit of ARNOR Knights back into the main fight, I think. Actually, just in general, we need to get our cav back over here. Look how many orcs are around them, and yet victory is still basically certain. Actually, there are some gaps in the line, which we may as well patch up immediately. Defeat seems certain, they're wavering. Now they're only shaken. Now they're wavering again. Go on, break. No, they're not going to break. Okay, enough of this. It's time to start breaking them by employing some hammer and anvil tactics. Actually, no, we need to wipe out those veterans. Let's charge into some Orc Band. Do a lot of damage with the Knights. Battle ready Dunedain. Getting the work done. We're trying to form up, but it's not really going to work too well. Turn around and smash into these Morin on guard. Not going to get too many kills by doing this, to be honest with you. In fact, we've kind of fucked ourselves, which is a bit of a shame. Wow, you are being incredibly ambitious if you think you're going to beat them. Oh, he was all on his own. Right, enough of this. It's about time we just absolutely eviscerated the Isengard general. My pikes are just, they're not budging, which is nice. My knights of my Dunedain knights are doing the business. This is going to be nasty. Not the best charge. In fact, that was a very meek charge by the Knights of the Numerals. Need to get them out of there. I am shooting right into the backs of these guys, which is nice. Mismicroing my cab horrendously here. That's only goblin infantry. The victory seems certain, does it? I don't think so. How ironic, for the last one I performed kind of poorly. The enemy for once have actually flanked around, and I think that's because I coaxed them into doing so with my cab. Well, that was not a good charge at all. Alright, get out of melee. Guards of Orthanc are not the sort of unit you want to be in melee against for too long. Let's keep my pike line up. What are we doing over here?
The enemy are badly bloodied.
I thought I told you to get out of melee with them. You're just not listening? Those clansmen are fighting against my... Actually, we need to fire into there. These guards of Orthanc have been pretty handily devastated by my Knights of the Numerals, actually. How are they doing now? Guards of Orthanc are only 22. No, I don't think my ARNOR Sergeant's going to be enough to actually seal the deal, though. Dunland veterans, they're routing. Excellent. Let's kill the Isengard general. These clansmen are not doing a terrible job. They're doing... well, they're doing what they were designed for. That's for sure. Get into these goblin infantry with these knights. Where's the Isengard general? Well, they're going to die off. Goblin infantry. ARNOR knights. They're routing. Let's get into the Orc band. Dunland veterans. Dunland clansmen. Let's kill them off. In fact, mismanaging this may have actually turned out to be a good showcase of just how good the Dunedain Knights are, because in most other situations, that would have been game for me. Like, my line would have collapsed, my men would have broke. But as it is, my pikes have done a fantastic job at holding. Yep, they're breaking. Knights of the Numerals. I think that's only the general there. Well, we have started to break their line now, so this is going to be it, really. Knights of Numerals. Let me see, what can we do here? Let's go into the centre here, and there goes the Isengard general. Well, we captured him. Captured him with the tips of our swords, which, you know, it makes sense. One of my archers have taken their swords out. Is that it? Well, surely not, because the I've only lost about 10 Knights of the Numerals, and they've been fighting stuff like Guards of Orthanc. I mean, that just shows how devastating they are. Single best heavy cav unit in the game. Let's see, these guys are all routing. Right, well the Nazgul aren't going to rout, so where are they? I'd be amazed if they routed. Gotta be around here somewhere. I can hear the fighting. There they are. Okay, Knights of the Numerals, you go in. Finish them off. There's the Nazgul. Silver Chevron on my ARNOR Sergeants. For the lowest tier of cav that ARNOR have, which, you know, is not low tier cav at all, it must be said, they did very well. Well, the Nazgul are in here somewhere, so it's not a good day for them. Oh, there they are, look. Okay. A nice mosh pit full of horses and Dunedain Knights. Don't think even spiders would be able to fight their way out of that mess.
Without him, his troops will lose their will to fight. Behold,
And there we go.
cowardly foe runs.
So not my finest game, but
Press the attack.
it did showcase just how hardy ARNOR's troops are and how the quality of their units
Enemy are
will
utterly
almost
vanquished.
always win out. As it was a good showcase of their cav as well, particularly the Knights of the Numerals, really the stars of the show. Dunedain Knights, pretty much the dismounted version of them, very strong. Only the Guards of Khazad-dûm and the Smiths of Eregion are a better heavy infantry unit than them, and these guys are cheaper than both of them by 100, I think. So, you know, ARNOR. Many people's favourite faction, for good reason as well. That's 557 kills on a heavy infantry unit, that's pretty damn good. The archers all did pretty well, they got disrupted though. This Dunedain Ranger unit I think got the highest amount of kills overall. Yeah. Pikes did very well, the pikes held. You know, maybe a little bit depleted, but they will do the job. They will. And, well, that's it. That's really it. I mean, I still believe that overall Gondor are my favourite faction, but, you know, Dale and ARNOR are obviously right up there because it's the same sort of thing. The Dwarves are certainly, statistically, the best faction, and that can't really be argued. The Elves are pretty good, Mordor are good because of their high tier sort of unique units like their Olag High and their Black Numenorians and such. But really, you can play as any faction and eke out a win somehow, even if you're playing Gundabad and you're fighting the Dwarves. But yeah, this is the last episode I can do based on faction overview, so I was thinking about doing some videos where I looked at individual unit types like heavy infantry and archers. I might do that, but again, I'll have to think about how I do that. So for the time being, it'll just be sort of regular battles with me and some of my friends. But I will think about doing something similar to this in the future. But this is the last faction overview, at least the third age, that I will do. It might be possible in the future when we get into some other mods that I'll look at the factions from those mods as well. One mod that in particular I do really want to play, if it's possible to get it to work on everyone's machines, would be Medieval Kingdoms 1212 for Total War Attila. And if we can get that working, I will also do a similar series for that mod. But that's going to be in the future. For now, regular Third Age battles and maybe some videos looking at individual unit types. But thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.